My name is Storm Rowland. I am in Professor Lisa West Modern European Art 2 class, Summer A. My research project is on Matisse's Chapel of the Rosary. Who is Matisse? Henri Matisse is a French-born artist, born in December 31st of 1869. He is known in multiple mediums, but mostly famous for paintings, as displayed in figures 1 and 3. But he also has works including printmaking, sculpture, stained glass, and collage. The artist follows under multiple art periods and movements, including post-impressionism, expressionism, Fauvism, and modernism. He basically dabbled in everything if he could get his hands on it. My report was focusing more on Matisse's later career as an artist. When Matisse was recovering from his surgery, which was, I believe, cancer, he issued a ad in the paper requesting a pretty nurse to take care of him as he recovered. Uh, this ad would spark a long enduring friendship he would have with his muse at the time, which would be Sister Jerique Marie. Uh, she's the one who answered the ad, was a muse, even did artwork her own time, which made Matisse interested in her more. Their friendship was long and mutual, and soon the sister went off to the Dominican order of Catholicism while Matisse was recovering elsewhere. Soon they would get back together years later when she was needing help designing a stained glass window, and he offered the idea of designing the whole chapel himself. The Chapel of the Rosary. The chapel is in a town in Vence on the French Riviera, dedicated to Dominican order of Catholicism. The Rosary Chapel sits on top of a hill and is roughly shaped in an L. View Figure 7 for more details on the layout of the building. It took 4 years to be constructed from 1948 to 1951. There are 3 murals made of ceramic tiles in the chapel, along with 3 sets of stained glass windows. If you take your attention to Figure 5, you can see that all 3 of the stained glass windows can be in view, and in Figure 6 you can see 2 of the murals. The one in the back would be of the Stations of the Cross, and the one on the left would be of the Madonna of the Rosary, a depiction of Mary holding the baby Christ. I focus mainly on the use of color in the one stained glass window that is actually titled in the church, being the Tree of Life, which is depicted in Figure 8 and in detail in Figure 9. Matisse focused on using a simplistic color palette when designing the chapel, that being an analogous color scheme, using a 6-sided color wheel, a very simple color palette, instead of the traditional 12 colors most artists learn in color theory courses. The colors used in the chapel are yellow, green, and blue, in rich, saturated colors with no tints or shades to be found, just pure color. The limited use of color in the chapel allows for light's blending of color in the chapel to have complexity and more shades and nuances with the light, while making the glass more simplistic. Unity and balance. The chapel, even though it is built in an L shape, which would not feel like it'd be a balanced space, achieves symmetry and balance through the placement of its mural objects and seating. Take, for example, in Figure 11. The altar is placed adjacent to the corner of the building, which is flanked by a stained glass window and a mural, that being the Tree of Life and the mural of Saint Dominican. Each piece of artwork is roughly the same size and dimension, and this balance can be seen throughout all places of the chapel. Most of the stained glass is roughly the same size as the adjacent mural. There is no side of the room that feels too heavy or too light with the composition and work introduced into it. Take, for example, each mural has a window directly across from it or next to it, making sure no wall feels too heavy. Overall, my findings in discovering the chapel shows it has a simplistic color palette, which allows for complexity and light, and the building overall has unity in its arrangement and placement of its murals and stained glass.